Hi, I'm Camilla Luddington, and you're watching Airlim.
Today we're going to be talking about Radiant Season 1, Part 1 from Manga Entertainment. And let's just jump straight into it. This anime is about a boy named Seth who wants to destroy all the Nemesis, or Nemesis, basically a load of bad guys called the Nemesis, and he wants to get rid of them, but you know he's going to be causing trouble all around the different worlds. Now when I first saw this, I thought this was going to be an amazing anime, something that I was going to be really happy about, but I was kind of like very disappointed in what I saw. It also really annoyed me on so many different levels that at times I just wanted to turn this off straight away. Now I will say this in case I forget much later on, I really think I should have watched this with the Japanese cast rather than the English dubs, because to me, I just couldn't stand the English voiced characters, which is really weird because I loved dubbed content at times, but I think the sub is so much better from watching a little bit of previews. The magic in this world is called Fantasia, but Fantasia is his magical source that is all around the world, and Seth has a lot of it inside his body, pretty much just like every single anime character that goes through magical journeys. He can't control it at first, but we see that he uses this and obviously he'll get a lot stronger, and it's mentioned quite a few times. There are tons of different characters in this anime. Mainly the ones that go around with Seth are Melie and Doc, and then obviously we've got Seth's teacher, who is Alma. Everyone in this anime hates sorcerers, so the ones that actually have power are actually good or bad, but everyone seems to hate sorcerers all the time. But when we see in some of the anime where they actually love sorcerers, when Nemesis just drops down and they take over or they're fighting, it just kind of feels a bit weird that they would do that all the time. But it's a major big thing in this anime. You see it all the way through the anime. One of the earlier things that you see is Alma trying to buy supplies for her ship, but then the store clerk hates her, says like, oh, we don't have any in stock, and then when she's like, I can see him in the back, he's like, get away! Like, he tries to square up, tries to kind of get rid of her, but you just end up want to punch him, or if you said boo, he'd cower. I absolutely hated that. I really was just like, oh! Just everyone's thoughts of the townspeople in this really irritated me. When you meet Seth, to me, all the way through the anime, he is this silly character that just pisses me off all the time. You know, the voice doesn't go with him, doesn't fit the character whatsoever. And at first I thought it was Vic Mignogna who was voicing him, and I was like, oh, you know, I kind of see it. But then when I saw the behind the scenes and also saw the kind of who it was at the very end, it wasn't Vic, and I was like, oh. But at the very end, the voice didn't go with him at all, and I generally thought, oh, why would you have that? When Seth actually beats a nemesis for the first time, he decides to go off on a quest, and that's when we meet the other characters, and then how it all kind of starts, his training, you know, and more silly antics, which more episodes feel like filler than they actually do for the main kind of plot line. I didn't really like this anime at all. I found that it was irritating at most parts, and I just couldn't bear to keep watching after time. I had to take breaks from it. The only good parts I think were in it was the intro and the outro. The music suited them very well, and I kind of enjoyed watching them when they came out, at the very beginning and the end, as you say. But I really couldn't get behind this anime at all. This anime to me was a background anime. It wasn't the best. I could just leave it in the background, look up at times and go, oh yeah, cool, that's happening. Or I could jump into any episode and just kind of figure out what the plot is. When it came to animation, it was smooth. I've got to admit, I really liked the detail of the characters. The colors worked really, really well, and the backgrounds to like where these stayed at times, that was kind of nice as well. So I generally enjoyed those, but not the story. Melie, to me, was a character that I actually generally liked in this. I liked the kind of switch between the personalities, and I noticed that when any sort of like her colors, like they popped, they made you kind of like concentrate on her, and I really liked that. That to me was like, oh, I could watch the anime. If it was all about her, I think it would be 10 times better. But when I was watching like Seth and Doc, I goddamn hate Doc in this, but I really dug Melie a lot more than the others. Fantasia the magic was actually quite decent from when it was utilized to how like Melie would use her magic where Seth would use his, and it did generally make me go, oh, that's kind of cool. At the very kind of beginning, when Seth is against the Nemesis, when he does this ultimate attack or when he uses his magic to deflect something, I generally paid attention and thought, wow, this is actually like the anime and something that's great. When the characters used Fantasia, it did kind of make up for it. When also some of the characters were running, you kind of see like this shake after image type thing, which didn't really kind of make me go, oh, but that did make me think that either they couldn't be bothered or it just felt like when they put it through the animation, it just didn't work that well. The animation machine, that is, through like After Effects or whatever program that they were using. This anime has multiple tropes that you see from other animes, such as big massive attacks. The one thing is Seth reminded me a lot of Deku from My Hero Academia, where he was using his Titan Punch all the time. And it just made me go, is this kind of ripping off My Hero Academia a tiny bit? Or other animes? To me, I don't know how to really say it. It just wasn't something that I generally really liked at all. There was a lot of silliness most of the time, which made me think that the main character wasn't that serious, even though he had this master plan that he wanted to do. So to me, it was kind of a eh. When watching this, I did pick up a lot of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z type inspiration from it. From when Melie turns around and is dead, sweet and innocent, and then at the drop of a hat, she'll turn, and reminded me very much of Launch. Where Seth would do certain poses, that reminded me of Goku quite a bit. But majority, Melie was the one person that you kind of focused on a lot, and her split personality was something a lot different. I found all the characters pretty much bland in this, apart from Melie. I just found that when I wanted to kind of like root for a certain person, it just didn't. Now, there's a maid in this who I generally kind of liked, but for some strange reason has her father as a puppet on her hand, and that to me just made me go, oh, why is that a thing? Especially when Doc loves coffee and he drinks this coffee and gives praise, and the way it's kind of worded is it's not praised at the person, like, oh my god, you are the most amazing. He says that he appreciates the coffee and loves to drink it, but then the father gets really angry and is like, well, you're not going to drink anything from my daughter ever again, you know, it's going to be me. I generally thought that there didn't need to be anything like this. You know, I can understand that we see these tropes in much other animes where the father doesn't want anyone touching a daughter, or, you know, the guy is like really kind of into her and won't like protecting her, or how like a guy will be overprotective of his girlfriend, partner, sister, whatever. And it just got to me to the point where I was like, you know, he's giving a compliment about the drink that is made from the cafe, but yet again, the father type figure has to come out. And I just generally really wanted Doc to grab the puppet, rip his head off, and just throw it, and just be like, I'm done with this. It just really wound me up. And just thinking about it is, I just don't know why they put it in there. You know, Doc could have said, hey, I really like you, maid. And then she could have been like, sorry, I'm not. And then that would have been the end of it. But you see this kind of all the way through the anime when they interact. Seth, to me, it was a character that just wants to make friends and then would just punch things and just didn't really kind of think about stuff. And that did generally irritate me. He kind of reminded me of Deku, but I really like Deku. But it just made me go, oh, do you know what? We see this in all anime. And, you know, as a reviewer, I should know this all the time. But each character from each anime has something that makes them stand out. Seth doesn't, and that irritates me because it's just a generic anime that feels like it's a for kids anime. And I know that could be an insult, but to me, that's how it felt. Alma had a very interesting backstory. So she explains it very much, how she finds Seth and how Seth like tags along and then she cares for him. And I love that. I love that backstory because it felt wholesome. It felt real and genuine. But the one thing I will say is I would have liked to have seen this much later on, because when Seth leaves, you know, you're meant to feel this sort of connection on how like they're crying and it's like, oh my god, I love this person and he's amazing, you know, and I don't want him to leave, he's like a son to me. But when they split up in after the second episode, there is no connection. I just genuinely went, all right. But for me, if they kind of use this much later on, like at the very end of season 1 or halfway through part 2, then there would be more of a connection, because I would have been like, oh my god, no, they're leaving. But I didn't see this. And it just felt like it was a waste of time. Melie, to me, was possibly one of the best characters. It felt like her soft side and her hard side, that was different. It felt like two unique characters that we've not really seen that much. And I haven't seen anything since that from like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z where you saw Launch in it. And this is what I generally like. Like the spotlight was pretty much all on Melie all the time, and that's what I generally really liked. The colors for the character were bright, you know, when she was using magic, when she was with Seth, and I generally want them to get together, so I'm hoping that they do later on. But I found that this character was just different, and she was the most interesting character of all. Right, Doc. Doc I generally hated in this. I felt like he was a wasted character, a character that I would easily forget and wouldn't give a crap about later. His whole attitude towards Seth, towards Melie, just really irritated me. You meet him very briefly when you meet Alma, but then when he's on the sky ship, you know, he's like, oh, I don't know these people, when he's about to get arrested. And then much later on, it just felt like he wanted to be superior overall. Like, you know, every single woman would love him, you know, how he would be better than like Seth or anyone else. And it just generally got to me to the point where it really put me off this anime. When he creeped on the maid, and also when he would argue against Seth. And I've got to admit, the one thing that did make me smile in this is when there's this big massive like squid monster. Seth's about to attack, but then Doc says like, stop, he's my friend. And Seth goes, well, you know, a friend of yours is a friend of mine, not unless you want to reconsider that. And I generally liked that little dig because it made Doc feel a little bit smaller, and it made Doc go, oh crap, he could knock us both out and he could destroy us. So I kind of liked that little bit of balance, but I just hated Doc's attitude, his whole personality. And as a character, I would want him gone. I would not care if he fell off into the void or whatever, off the side of the big like floating mountains, or off his own airship. And I don't care if he got arrested. It just irritated me all the way through this. So my final thoughts. I couldn't get into this anime whatsoever. I felt like it was just such a letdown at points. I just couldn't get behind the story. You know, the characters, apart from Melie, just felt bland. I just generally felt that this anime would be a lot better if it didn't have an English dub, if it was just purely Japanese with subtitles. I could get behind that because I really enjoyed it. After a while, you're meant to really like the characters, but I found like with Seth and Doc, I just generally thought that they were really bad characters in all, and I just couldn't get behind it. Seth to me was too childish, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that he would have made a better side character than a main character. On paper, the story could be absolutely amazing, but I found myself like, if I could stop watching after part one, that's it. I wouldn't want to watch it. Now, I've heard people say it gets better in the second part, but for me, I just generally lost a lot of interest. Now, there are more characters in this, and there's a load of bandits, which at the very beginning you think that they were going to be the comic relief through the entire series, but you find out they're actually quite bad. It just got to me that you have these sorts of characters and they couldn't have been better. I thought they would have been a lot more funnier, a lot more interesting if they everyone was a crew, but rather than just being dicks about a few things, how they want to steal stuff and use the sorcerer's curses and stuff like that when they say things. It just really annoyed me because the characters just felt bland again. In all, would I recommend this anime? No, it is not for me. Maybe the manga is a lot better, and if you've read the manga, let me know down below in the comments. To me, if you like this sort of anime where, you know, the main character is childish, you know, it's meant to be filler to me, then this anime is good. But to me, it's something that I wouldn't recommend to my friends, and I'm just not a huge fan of. I know this has got quite a big following, so if you're a big fan of it, please let me know down below in the comments. Tell me if it does get better or if it's just, it stays the same. Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, for me, I'm not a huge big fan of this. And I don't think I'll be continuing watching the story. And it's a shame because I really like Melie. I think she was actually a decent character. And that whole race thing as well, that was kind of cool. But yeah, I just couldn't get behind this at all. So I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like Revenant? Would you collect it? Are you a big fan? What did you think? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you've liked this sort of video, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.